Hi, I'm Anders here at Sunflare Solar, and today we'll be installing one of our modules on the Alu Cab rooftop tent. We can break down the installation process into 3 easy steps. 1, cleaning the surface, 2, adhering the module, and 3, wiring the components. Step 1 is cleaning and preparing the surface for module adhesion. All you need is a rag, an appropriate cleaning solution, and give the roof a thorough wipe down. To install our modules, we use a butyl-based adhesive, and today we're using Heliobond. Now other adhesives, such as 3M, work just as well. Step 2 involves first cutting and measuring the Heliobond to be adhered to the back of the module. So the best thing to do is to get a brand new blade into your X-Acto knife or box cutter to make sure that it's sharp enough to penetrate. Measure out the distance that you have for your module and that you'll need to slice. Put this Heliobond on some kind of hard surface you don't mind cutting into, and then use your fingers to hold the outer edges, and then cut with firm pressure and at a moderate pace. You want to take your Sunflare module and place it upside down on a soft, non-scratching surface. When preparing the module and rooftop surfaces for adhesion, it's important that you use isopropyl alcohol of 95% content or greater. It's also important that you wipe in one direction to prevent any residue from being left on the surfaces. So while I'm letting this module dry here, there's a couple things to keep in mind when working with adhesives such as Heliobond. Now for one, this is a very sticky adhesive. So as you're laying the Heliobond strips down, and if you notice it's crooked or it's not where you want it to be, you have very little time, if any, to peel that Heliobond off and to try again. Now if you have made the mistake of laying down all your strips before you realize something's not right, you can use piano wire accompanied with some kind of adhesive removal to get rid of that Heliobond. Now I can't stress enough that that can be a very arduous task, and so it's very important to keep in mind that everything is precise as you're laying it down. Now let's move on to step 2. Now that you have your Heliobond strips cut, the back of your module should resemble this. As you see, we have the entire perimeter covered, as well as 3 vertical strips going down the middle. Now with your partner, take the Heliobond and begin applying it to the back of the module. During installation, it's important that the junction boxes are located where the Alu Cab sign is. And looking at the Alu Cab, the corners should line up neatly with the corrugated metal. Once you have the module centered on the Alu Cab, you begin by peeling off the first layer of Heliobond closest to you. Now when doing this, you really want to make sure it's straight because it's hard once the Heliobond is down for it to come back up. So once the front of the module is firmly adhered to the Alu Cab tent, you go around to the side and begin by peeling one side of the vertical Heliobond. Only go about halfway, then peel the other side. Now that you have enough side and Heliobond peeled, you can begin to lay the module down while making sure it's straight and flush. Once you get to the middle, then you can remove the center section of Heliobond. Again, go slow and gradual to make sure it's remains centered. And once you come to the end, remove the last piece. Now apply pressure throughout all the seams. It's best to let the Heliobond sit for about 48 hours, and it's important to keep it in a controlled environment of 70 degrees to make sure you maximize the Heliobond adhesion. Next, an EPDM lap sealant is applied to the perimeter of the module. Now that your module has been installed on top of the Alu Cab tent, it's a good time to install that tent on top of your vehicle if you haven't done so already. The final stage of this installation process is doing the wiring and system components that go along with your Sunflare module. The first step is installing the MC4 cables into the junction box located on the Sunflare module. You want to make sure that you insert the female to the male end and push all the way until you feel the click. You take them and you feed them through the underneath of the Alu Cab. Once you've installed your module, there's 3 other key components to completing your system. Now the first is the battery for storage. There's a bunch of different types of batteries, but 2 of the more popular ones you'll see are the lead acid batteries, such as this one, and lithium ion. Lead acid batteries, as you can see, are a little bulkier, heavier, have a shorter lifespan, but they're much cheaper. Lithium ion batteries are much more dense and compact, have a better lifetime, and they also, though, come at a much greater cost. The next component is the charge controller. So what this does is it actually regulates the power coming from your module to your battery. It's important that you get an MPPT charge controller over a PWM one, so that way you can get better production throughout the time of the day. Now the last component for the system is an inverter. So what this does is it actually converts the DC power coming from your battery into AC power for you to plug in different kinds of AC outlets. Now there's also a bunch of different types of inverters, but it's important that you get a pure sine wave inverter. So the first step is to install the positive and negative terminals of your battery into the charge controller. You do so by inserting the wires into the reciprocating terminal and tightening with a small screwdriver. It is important that this connection is tight so it won't slip out during use. Once the wires are in place, you attach the battery ends to the battery. Make sure that the proper terminals are used. Then you want to make sure that these fastenings are tightly locked in. Alright, so once the battery is connected, you want to take your positive and negative terminals from your solar module and connect them to the corresponding terminals in your charge controller. If you have an inverter, now's the time to install it. First, by taking your battery cables and securely connecting them to the battery terminals. You then connect the battery cables to the corresponding positive and negative of your inverter. Now your inverter is installed and you have AC power. And that's how you successfully install a Sunflare solar module onto an Alu Cab rooftop tent. If you have any other questions, feel free to consult the instruction manuals that will come with this product. We hope you enjoy.